And we are back. It is Texas Ags Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studios. I walk to my desk here, and we go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. My buddy, Jordan Pugh. We're going to keep it real. What's up? Jordan, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm good. So I feel like oftentimes, you might have not an opposite angle that I have, but like when I'm happy about something, you're really good. Maybe it's the coach in you. You can point out where I shouldn't be so happy. And when I'm maybe not so happy, you point out some things that I should, hey, look at this though. So after
a good balance, a good equal balance.
Yeah, it's the yin and the yang. So after 2 games, how do you feel about this Texas A&M team heading to South Bend?
Ooh, okay. First off, let's start off with special teams. I think that we have an advantage in the special teams area, okay? I think our special teams is really good. We're buttoned up. We have explosive playmakers. You know about Bussy. You know about Casey returning punts, all that, right? So we got that out of the way. Okay, let's get into offense. I think that offensively, that's where our advantage is. The threat that we have in the running game with Marcel, that added piece, we know about Le'Veon. We know about Ruben Owens running the football, but adding that extra piece will keep the defense honest, right? Then you have the explosive playmakers on the outside with Craver, with Concepcion doing what he's doing, adding the tight end element. I think that will be big. Here's my concern. My concern is the front 7 play of our defense, especially on the defensive line. We still have not shored up a lot of the run game, especially the edge play when it comes to giving up big explosive plays. If you go all the way back to last year, I was thinking about this last night. If you go all the way back to last year, going to the Notre Dame game last year, first game of the season, it was a tight-knit, close game, but Notre Dame had about 3 to 4 explosive runs, right? That changed the nature of the game. Now, when you look at how the season ended, how we were giving up big explosive runs, missed tackles, all that, and now you take it into this season. We look at the first game of the year against UTSA. We weren't closing the edges off. We gave up explosive runs. They had a few explosive runs against Utah State. Man, I just think that's something, man, that's an Achilles heel of ours. I think that our secondary is played well. I think we've improved on that end. I think there's a few times we got a little bit lazy within the secondary portion, but just that front, I think that's going to be the game changer for us, or the game decider. Because if I'm Notre Dame and I'm game planning Texas A&M, Jeremiah Love is going to touch that football, and he's going to touch that football a lot. We're going to run a lot of outside zone. We're going to hit a lot of powers, a lot of zone read options, especially with C.J. Carr at the quarterback position. So, man, if we can shore that up, if we can handle first and second down and earn the right to rush the passer on third down, I think that's going to be crucial for us, because we know we have the players who can rush the passer. We know we have the players who can get to the quarterback. That was evident last week, right? Now, if we can win those first and second downs, we can control the game from that standpoint.
So I simplified it when I talked to a Notre Dame former player, Ryan Harris, a little bit ago, and I said, look, to me, now I can't factor in what it's like to play on the road for A&M. They haven't won a road game since Auburn. I incorrectly said South Carolina, but same year, 2014, okay? Against the ranked team, I should say. But I can't simulate that. But to me, A&M is better offensively than they were a year ago.
Yes.
Okay, especially in that Notre Dame game, but in general from last season. Defensively, I feel like they're at least as good at linebacker, if not better. They are better at the secondary, in my opinion, so far.
Yeah.
And the D-line is still a TBD. Where they're not necessarily better is some of the misfits and some of the big plays. And they might be better, but so far we've seen that kind of show up. So that's to me. And I look at Notre Dame and I'm like, I think they're not better on the defensive line, but they might be as good. I think their secondary is stout. Offensively, their quarterback might have a higher ceiling than Riley Leonard last year, but I don't think he's there yet. So am I jiving with what you were thinking?
Yeah, no, you're saying it on point. So look, where we have the advantage is our skill, our offensive skill against their defensive skill. I think we have the advantage. Okay. Overall, we look at the quarterback to the running back to the receiver. I think we have the advantage. Now, from the line play, I think that they have the advantage on the line play on both sides of the ball. Their O-line and their D-line against ours. I think that's where the advantage is. When you look at where we're better at, I think, like you said, we're better at the DB position. I think Scooby Williams is playing his butt off, man. The more and more that I watch the game tape, the way that he's affecting the game, him and Torian York are playing well together. The chemistry that they have, and they're comboing off each other real well. Here's our biggest issue on defense. And sometimes I think we get too pretty. Sometimes I think you need to let the dogs do what they do. Let them loose, let them off the chain, and let them get upfield and create chaos. A lot of times we're two gapping a lot, and I think by two gapping a lot, that's slowing us down from getting penetration. So how does that all correlate? That correlates because it gets us displaced from the fits that we need in order to keep the run contained. And when you have guys like Cassius Howell who are coming off the edge, man, guys who are explosive, you can use that against them, right? You can use their greatest strength against them. That's why I think, man, the emphasis this week in practice needs to be focused on first and second down play. Because if I'm Elko, I'm anticipating heavy run. I'm anticipating heavy 12 personnel, heavy 22 personnel. I anticipate them getting the ball to Jeremiah Love in as many scenarios as possible, right? So that's why the first and second down is important, being stout against the run. I think that you're going to see a lot more 8-man boxes from our defense. With a lot more rotational safety play. I think you're going to see a lot more gap control from our two interior linemen, but I think you're also going to see a lot more contained control from our ends. That's going to be crucial because you got to let Scooby and you got to let Torian York run the alley. I think if we can do that, we have the advantage everywhere else. I think with the upgrades we've made at the receiver position, we know what we have at the running back, but the key factor is of Marcel's legs. And the way that Colin Klein has been calling the offense the past 2 weeks, the way that he's been using the run to manipulate the pass, I think has been absolutely phenomenal. So now you're going to force Notre Dame into one-on-one situations on the back end. You're going to make them have to load the box because they're going to have to leave an extra player in order to account for Marcel, which means Craver and KC get to go one-on-one. And I think that's our advantage, right? So if we can shore up those things on defense, if we can continue to manipulate Notre Dame's defense with our offensive play calling, I think we have the full advantage to get a big statement win up there in Notre Dame.
So C.J. Carr was sacked 3 times. And I'm looking at some of Miami's players. I don't know how much you paid attention to that game, but Reuben Bain had, I think, a half sack, but he caused havoc all game long. The other defensive end who plays more where Cassius plays had a sack and a half. So how does Cassius's game, by the way, he just came off, the 3-sack performance in 5 seconds, which, was incredible to watch.
Myles Garrett tried to top him this week. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, of course. So, so how does Cassius's game or just the A&M ends game translate to what Miami was able to, what they were able to do?
It translates because we have when it comes to the pass rush, so let's do it like this. Pass rush wise, they won't be able to block us. All right. So we get in a second and long situations, third, medium and long situations. That's our advantage because we can come off the ball. We can go with the best of them. As far as D-line, when it comes to Texas A&M, we produce D-linemen. That's one thing you never have to question with us. The biggest thing is getting to those situations. Right. So I keep harping on Jeremiah Love. Right. If I'm in the room with the coaches and I'm game planning, I'm looking for the initial runs, but also how do they get him the ball in the pass game. Right. In order to stifle what we have on the pass rush side, especially with our ends in particular, you got to be able to get them to move laterally and not get vertical. Right. In order to get them to move laterally, you have to run at them, but you also have to be able to have the back disperse out of the backfield too. Okay. So if they're successful in that, we're in trouble because we're not allowing our guys to do what they do best. Okay. So if we can manage the interior box, meaning if we can manage in between the tackles, that will allow Hal and those guys to be able to do what they do and be pass rush specialists. And that's where we gain the advantage every single time.
Talking to Jordan Pugh here on Texas Live. We are presented by David Gardner Schulters in the Rollo Insurance Studio. All right. What about the big plays in particular that we're seeing to start the second half? Okay. So one, there was, against UTSA, it was a misfit and a missed tackle. You saw a 30-yard run against Utah State. What are you seeing in those plays? How correctable is it for this year?
It's very correctable every time that we get caught. So it goes back to what I said earlier. We're two-gapping too much with our interior linemen, right? Our interior linemen need to hit a gap, whether it's A or whether it's B. So if you go back, you look at the film, you see a lot of head up or two eye or 3-eye type shade. And we're two-gapping, allowing the offensive linemen to pin us, okay? When they pin us, they get up to the second level, and they get to our linebackers, allowing the big runs to happen. Now, our safety's got to be able to clean that up, all right? They got to be the cleanup guys on those tackles. But when that happens, you can manipulate the end based off body position. that opens up the hole with a lot of lead blocking. So you're looking at a lot of outside zones, the way that they pin us with our 3 technique and they get up to our backers. And those are opening up the run lanes. I think a lot of it has to do with just what we've done and what we've asked our guys to do defensively. I don't think it has anything to do with our guys being undisciplined. I think it has a lot to do with the call, the initial alignment, and not allowing us to get to our gaps on the snap. And I think if we make that initial adjustment, that changes everything defensively. We have the players to do it. We're not an undisciplined team. It's the small, minute things that a lot of people don't see that will open up the defense for us and have us be able to stop those run fits.
Beagle on the YouTube page, who's also a coach, says you got to win the first down. So back to your point about, especially with Jeremiah Love, how important is it going to be to get them in the 2nd and long and 3rd and 6?
It's huge. It's huge. You got to put your mind. You have to have the mindset of what Notre Dame sees on film, right? I see big plays. I see UTSA running all up and down on us. I see Utah State making plays on us, right? So when I see those different elements, I go, we're Notre Dame. We have pro offensive linemen. We have a 1st-round draft pick at the running back position. By getting the engine going with Jeremiah Love, that opens up the pass game. Now that opens up our RPOs. That opens up our play action. That opens up our boots and our waggles. Winning 1st and 2nd down will make them predictable. And if you make them predictable, that allows us to do what we do best, rush the passer. So if we can win those 1st and 2nd down plays and get them to 3rd down situations where we know it's heavy pass, maybe heavy screen, heavy draw, we win those scenarios because Elko's defense can outsmart that. So that's why it's crucial for us, man, to win those first 2 downs.
Jordan, am I simplifying it too much again when I think I feel like when A&M's defense, you got your starters out there, and they're like, all right, we're not playing anymore. They're really legit, right? Because again, the UTSA game, it was, it was a beatdown whenever they turned it on, right? It was 6 straight punts. Yeah. Against Utah State, it was 30-6. They had one drive, a couple penalties that kind of affected you, and then you started seeing backups play. So, is that making it too easy, or are these issues even with the starters, even when they're focused?
No, it's issues all across the board. So what you saw in the UTSA game, you saw the same thing. You saw the run fits where guys were exploding, and that was against our starting unit, right? When you look at the younger guys coming in, you understand that there's going to be mistakes that happen, but man, run fits are run fits. Those are assignment sound type plays. It wasn't a receiver making a guy fall in a one-on-one coverage, or it wasn't a guy just pancaking our guy in an initial block. It's a lot of just fit. And when we say fit, that comes to responsibility, right? One of the things, too, that we have to be aware of is this, and I thought UTSA did a good job of this. I thought they did a good job of manipulating the eyes, okay? So what I mean by that is when you have a lot of fullback set or tight end sets, and you have a lot of wham blocks or the guy coming back across the formation, it allows you or makes you slow down defensively, okay? Because you got to be able to account for that. I think a lot of times, too, getting us getting out of gaps was a lot of the eye violations that we had. Sometimes we saw too much. Instead of seeing our one responsibility, well, we saw this guy flash, it slowed us down, it opened up the play. Man, I just think that with everything that we're doing defensively, man, it just comes down to simply doing your job. So like you said, let's simplify it to a simple form, man. Football is a very simple game. They're either going to run it or they're going to pass it. That's all they're going to do on offense. And if we can understand to identify our keys, read those keys, and play fast, we will have the advantage. But we have to understand that 1st and 2nd down are crucial when it comes to winning this football game.
Do you think A&M is going to be able to run on Notre Dame's defense?
Yes, because the thing that we've established in the first 2 games is we've established outside threats. That's the one thing that we were lacking last year. And not only outside threats, but home run hitting outside threats. Not only that, we have 3 legitimate running backs, really 4, plus a running quarterback. When you add that element of a running quarterback, it affects the defense more than anybody knows because you have to account for him, meaning you have to take a man out of coverage so it opens up the pass. Once we get the pass going, it opens up the run because now you remove a man out of the box. So having the element of Marcel is going to be big, but most importantly, establishing the 2 threats on the outside have been absolutely crucial, and that's what's keeping the Notre Dame staff up at night. How do we stop those 2 guys from explosive play?
So Notre Dame folks, and I've talked to 3 this week, think they have the best corners in college football. Okay, so let's say
they're good. They're good.
Okay,
yeah.
So, but I believe that A&M's got four guys that they're going to have to try to cover, right? And maybe even beyond that. There's tight ends, too, that we haven't really seen use. So, all right, let's say they use their best corners on Mario and KC. What does that mean for ABR? What does that mean for Terry Bussey?
Yes, exactly. Well, that's the biggest question, right? When you see Craver and you see Casey, you know that you have home run hitters, all right? And you got consistent home run hitters. That's what they put on film the past 2 games. But, man, it boils down – everything boils down to Marcel, okay? When I know that I have a threat in the run game with the quarterback, that adds a +1, all right, in any run game. Then when I can add the RPO option on top of that, that forces me to play one-on-one. So now it's a one-on-one option to where they put their best guy on KC or Craver, for example. Terry Bussey gets one-on-one. Our tight ends get one-on-one. And we can manipulate the defense based off Marcel's skill set. So being able to open up the run, being able to have the skill guys on the outside for us, I think that's our advantage, like I talked about earlier. It all depends on this. I think Notre Dame is going to play ball control offense. They're going to keep our offense off the field because I believe they understand the threats that we have, okay? So we win the first and second down, we get the ball back. Once we get the ball back, the more possessions that we have, the more that we can get into a rhythm. The more we get into a rhythm, the more we can manipulate Notre Dame's defense, okay? I anticipate Notre Dame playing a lot of man. I've anticipating Notre Dame playing a lot of fire zone against us, dropping defensive ends against Marcel, mixing up the looks pre and post snap. But that's where Marcel's legs come in. Will they account for that? If they don't account for that, we take a full advantage of it all night long.
Jordan, what would a win signify for this program at this kind of point in time for what Coach Elko's trying to build?
I think this is the most important game that we'll play all year long, because going into the SEC play, what you're going to see with what Notre Dame has established, they've established a physical front, a physical football team. They've established an SEC style of play, right? What I've seen the first 2 weeks, especially defensively, is we still have holes in our run game. But if we can go up there on the road, primetime slot, I think it's a signature win for us, but it also establishes us and gives us some momentum going into SEC play. Because this is going to be your first true test, but this is going to be your out-of-conference test that matches what we'll see in the SEC. So if I think we can accomplish that and we can go up there and put our stamp on the game early, it gives us confidence moving forward. But now we have a game plan in order to match everyone else within the conference. And I think that gives us a leg up moving forward, not just from a standpoint of where people view us, but from a staffing standpoint when it comes to game plan and understanding what our team is. The staff does not understand who we are. Let me take it back. The staff doesn't fully know yet who we are as a team, and this is the first challenge that we'll get. So I think this is crucial, man. I think it's big for Elko, but I think it's big for the program overall.
Jordan, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for making a few minutes. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.